All right. Hello everybody again. Third round in my tournament. Was facing the number 1 seed, rated 2493, so monster. He also did cross 2500 elo in this tournament, so the rating required to get the GM norm or GM title. I think he lacks one norm to get the title still. But little spoilers. Obviously, if you butcher your game against me, you wouldn't be making any rating gains. But, well, he had an interesting game nonetheless. So, I'm black. I get double black. Scammed. Second round black, third round black. Well, Caro-Kann it is again. D4, D5. Now, something more traditional, and my opponent goes for the advanced variation. Bang! And I go for this C5 instead of the bishop F5 stuff. Turns it into like a French, except we haven't locked in the bishop yet here. And we have used 2 tempi to play the C5. Horrible. Well, it is not bad at all. Alright, so white has a lot of options here. Most common probably D takes C. Knight F3 is what happened in the game, and C3 is also played a lot. So here, the natural looking move for instance, Knight C6, maybe white will sneak the pawn away and C defend it here, and I mean, this is obviously not defending this well, maybe, but could be played. But then you have to be soon worried about this stuff here. I mean, it's a playable way. And being played by strong players, I just took. My opponent takes, and then we challenge the knight, and they just takes. So black is not so unhappy. Have a really strong center. The only question is this guy here can't go here, can't go here. Bang. So 1 point of this. Of course, white has still ways to challenge the center too. And they have a pawn on e5. So they're stake in the center. But black has 2 central pawns and they are defended by a c pawn. Alright, so I played e6. I don't think I get the bishop out, so let's lock the things in and free these guys. Usually something. Right, white keeps developing castles. And then a5. This is instead of doing anything about this side here, which has not moved an inch, we're trying to fix the problem of the light squared bishop here still, because it's definitely unhappy camper. And white plays knight d2. Here I could go instantly here, but there is some ways that white can say no at the moment, while this square is defended twice. So it's better just to keep on developing now and say that this guy here is a little bit on the way of the world. Most this guy. And then we just, well, in the game, my opponent played here. And then I go say, let's trade the bishops now, please. This has been played a lot. 183 games in a master database on light chess. Alright, so white just took, and I took. Looks like we are all fine. Of course, the rook's a little funny on a6. And then my opponent plays h4. Most of the games have gone with the c4 here. And then, I don't know, black plays the knight somewhere like g6 or... Anyways, in a game we see h4. White is like saying that if you're gonna go there, this is already here and it does support somebody jumping there. Well, I jumped here. I don't want to get tempoed by going here. And the knight is on the bishop's way, so it definitely has to move. And then if white does something crazy, we just chop the pawn. Well, white did say, no, I don't care. And played c4 now. And, well, I was thinking here for a while, can I snipe the pawn away? But it's a flank pawn, and I'm spending a lot of time going for it, and I have been doing weird stuff here for a while too, so if you notice, these guys are still not fixed, so it's very dangerous to go hunting pawns. It was probably doable. Actually, I'm gonna show you that because even though this has zero chances that this would have happened in the game, just gonna show you the computer line here. So here, I mean, maybe e6, but then the pawn structure is a little weird anyways, but if you want to take this way, it might be doable. It's incredibly dangerous though, but like trying to keep your pawn structures intact. Of course, this way you avoid some annoying checks, and this is technically already defended, so this might be a way to go to, and probably the better way. And say that, okay, they're not the strongest, but so what? We have an extra pawn. Something, I don't know, bishop e3, comes there, and I don't know what this mess is. So I'm going to show you the C line, C takes D line, because that's funny. And then I think my opponent actually saw this during the game. So I remember him saying something about it after in a post-mortem to me about this. Like bishop g5. Idea, sack it to get the queen off the a4, and the queen goes there. I was completely oblivious to these possibilities. I was actually kind of looking at them. I mean, but yeah, I mean, if you go instantly there, you're still pinned here, and yeah, it's not really a threatening to take anything here or go anywhere. So I was more looking at these lines that the queen tries to go in this way. But bishop g5 is a cool move, and then I'll take queen check, and then we just have to let the rook go. And somehow this is fine. Well, maybe white has a slight advantage, but this is just cool. Threatening mate, stops the mate, and the king goes to hide on f6, and it's surprisingly solid there. And I don't know what this, for instance, would be a complete mess. White has two passers here, but black saying that, oh, my king is safe here, and well, I'm gonna ramp some counterplay here. And what did Mr. Machine say? Okay, 0.5 for white, so white advantage, but also kind of unique position you have never ever seen. Anyways, in the game I decided, no, I'm not gonna touch it and just develop the knight. Probably smarter. And now, sorry, here I decided not to touch it. And decided to develop the bishop. Bishop e7 also more possible. Maybe even better, but I didn't want to take a square from the knight. Like here. I mean, if we play h6, I don't know if white we have to, but these are all taking squares from the knight, and then we have to be very, very, very careful. g4 doesn't trap it here. At the moment there is this, but is it gonna be always there? So I decided, let's leave this here. Also, I saw some ideas on the pin. So the knight could somehow like take advantage of this, hit the rook, and maybe remaneuver here. And then these guys would both look at the f2. And well, this was fine. Of course, the bishop is a little bit exposed. So these are very scary moments when you have undefended pieces all over the board and open king too. So this is fine, but you have to be very, very careful. You don't run into some kind of a silly fork somewhere and drop material. Loose pieces drop off. LBDO. Alright, so my opponent plays bishop g5. I saved my queen with the b6. Actually says, I think computer said that just come back with the bishop, man. Was the best move, maybe. I mean, this is fine too. Opponent gave a check. I'll offer a trade. And then they said no. Actually, they said no here. If they take, I'm pretty happy. I don't know who goes here, but we just defend the rook. Bring the other rook here, and we have a protected passed pawn here. Maybe we could ramp some kind of a minority attack style pressure on the A and B pawns, and or normally go just here and double the rooks. Black is actually probably much better here. This is still some kind of threat even here. All right, so white says no trades. And then, I think here I should just castle or something. I was a little worried about this stuff here, so I wanted to resolve it instantly, the pin. But here, black can just... or I actually maybe use this rook, so there is no tempo on here on the rook, but the point is that this is well covered now, so anything hitting the bishop, we can just take it. Also, of course, we could take here with the knight, so these are there is no threats. We can actually move the queen away. Of course, this is a bit weird situation, but holds. But yeah, castles is better. I wanted to resolve it instantly. Knight here, with the idea that bang bang, offer a queen trade again, and maybe bishop is on few pawns too. But mainly I got rid of the pin. Well, sadly my opponent says no. And then I don't really have anything else than this is hanging now, so I just have to take it. Queen takes. And then I finally castle. Okay, no pressure here. So I instantly resolve the pin with queen b5, which is still fine. White starts to do a rook lift, so there is the problem that the bishop is here. I had to calculate this nonsense all the time. Queen is coming here, bishop is coming somewhere, and the rook's threatening to go here too. And then there is still a pawn too. And I spend a lot of time seeing ghosts and trying to figure out, like, there's too many options to consider, like both ways to sack. Just building a battery and all that nonsense. Well, yeah, here I think this just loses, for instance, rook b3. Queen has to go somewhere, let's say d7, doesn't matter. Bishop f6. If I take, they just check and come here. And since the rooks are disconnected, it's causing me a lot of problems. I cannot go here, of course. Otherwise, this would defend the mate, but no. And then we're gonna get checkmated somewhere, either square. And of course, black doesn't really need to take, but what are we gonna do? Play g6. This guy just goes here, and how do I get, well, boom. This bishop is not getting anywhere. It's also attacked now, and this is no longer even attacked, and this is coming, and this, and it's, but mainly it is because how do I even stop it? It's pretty done. So here I had to take this side. So this is not a tempo. Okay, they didn't go this side. They went here, sorry. And now I had to play rook c8. Just free this square here. I was considering it, but I don't know. why in the end I did not manage to do it. Apparently this is now the white's best sacrifice, which leads to an equality, and black has to go defend it. White's trying to maybe hint that we're gonna take it and go here. But black can actually go here and come defend this way, and if white plays f4, it suddenly pin your rook and rook f3 and rook c3, and it's a mess, but black is winning this. Now white has not enough, so they cannot go that far. Here they should just start retreating, and well, black also gets his things in order, and it's about equal, says Mr. Machine, but not an easy thing. Instead, I've started to panic a little bit. I was running really low. Well, probably not really low yet, but decently low. Also, I did probably spend a ridiculous amount of time here calculating this. Not, well, it's the best move, but I was more considering the sacks here and trying to figure out, do I have any kind of a mate here? With the rook check here, or rook here, and I don't know, check here, mate here. The problem here is that if we instantly do it, then the king probably escapes here. If we go here, king goes to d3, and then we don't have enough. And rook c2 is interesting. King runs here. Then we should do this, and well, then white has this blockade here, and bang and bang, and well, computer says it's only less than +1 for white, but I don't think it's gonna hold though. Oh wait, yeah, we have to take this way, so black rank's not gonna fail. Well, it's a complete mess. I don't want to go there. I wouldn't really believe that worked, but I tried to find a mate or some kind of a situation that would work, but it did not. But I still should have played the rook c8, even if this nonsense does not work. Anyways, I don't know, hinted about this guy, and maybe it could have worked, but the problem is that this just makes this even better. Well, my idea was to come pin the rook, but they sack the bishop. If I take it, it's just gonna be a rook check and mate. No good. Of course, we don't have to take it, but the problem is that they take it, and then knight or queen here and queen here, and we even pick this up, and now white's up material with attack, so it ain't good. I mean, maybe black could go here, and but I didn't. I look at this one there. The rook would be defended, but I did not want to double the rooks on a file. Ridiculous, and it's not even good, anyways. But white just snaps that pawn off, and now we're a pawn down with white attack again. Not so good. Well, after bishop 8 f6, I played g6, which pretty much is horrible. Then I made the room for the bishop to come cover this. White is threatening to checkmate me, and then they just picked up my silly pawn, and I can't even take a pawn back because of this and this and the... Who's gonna stop the mate? Not me. I have to keep the queen on the bishop, so if they sack, at least I can bring the queen back, but they just double the rooks. I'll come block. They go to the back rank. I'll cover it. Down a pawn with the horrible things here. Does not look good. Bang. Well, obviously if I take with the rook, this is mate, so I have to take with the king. They'll come and check. Well, the rook's pretty nasty here, so queen takes. Of course I'm up on exchange here, but tried the last trick here. Queen comes block. They played a3, a3 first. I'll have to keep the queen on here, and then the rook comes block. Why was the a3 needed? Well, if you instantly come block, then at least I get the counter checkmate here, but which of course I dreamed about, but I was not very optimistic my opponent would miss. But a3 is good because it kicks the queen off there and kind of blocks this. And then it is it. It is what it is. Why didn't I go here? Well, then the bishop comes here anyways. I have to go there and then queen here, and this is mate. Not good. Well, doesn't really make a difference. It's mate. It's of course kind of brave way to go about it. You have to trust your calculation a little bit that the black runs out of checks, but they do. King g3, and then only checks black have here are the ones that drop material somewhere. Not good. And next move is going to be a checkmatto, pretty sure. Well, of course we can throw away a lot of things, but checkmate is inevitable. Yeah, defense is hard. I liked my position at some point, but around here I probably started to go wrong. I should do something else like castles. Keep the knight here and don't worry about the pin too much. But it was worrisome though. Anyways, that was my round 3 loss. Thanks for watching and until next time. Ciao.